Everybody. My name is Estefania or Nia. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm an artist and organizer, but really just blessed to be in community with some incredible people, many of whom help bring this teaching to life. So I'm going to go through a little overview of what we're going to go through today so everybody knows what's going on, go over some Zoom protocols just so everyone knows what we're working with. And say a little bit about how this teaching came to be. And so, okay, so we're going to start with an overview that highlights the connections between Haiti and Palestine. And then we're going to do a short 10-minute deep dive into the situation in Palestine right now, followed by a similar overview for Haiti right now. And then we're going to have the rest of the time for a panel discussion, conversation, dialogue between folks from Haiti Action Committee and Samidun Seattle. And we're going to close with some action steps and with a poem. And so thank you all so much for being here. So we're not going to have questions time for questions from the audience in this teaching today. For that reason, we wanted to encourage you all to, if you look at your Zoom audience, there should be two folks that are labeled as moderator 1 and moderator 2. So please send all your questions to them, questions that you really want answers to, because we're going to take all of those and send a follow-up email to everybody with resources that get to your questions. And so because we won't have time for questions, we're going to ask everybody to be muted for the entirety of the event, except for the folks that are speaking. Okay, so a little bit about how this came about. This past November, a group of grassroots organizations here in Seattle sent a huge contingent of people down to San Francisco for the counter APEC summit and demonstrations. And so we went down, and Haiti Action Committee actually hosted a workshop. And this is where we learned that just a month prior, in October, the same month that the Palestinian resistance broke through the wall in Gaza, the UN had authorized essentially US-sponsored invasion of Haiti. And this is, that workshop was when we found out that this was about to take place. And so because of the deep legacy, revolutionary legacy of Haiti in Latin America, I know that I felt personally compelled to get together with interested folks and see what we can make happen to bring more awareness, to build more solidarity, and to get ready for action, to take action with other folks. And so a group of us came together, and we've been meeting almost every week since we committed. And this teaching is the first thing that we organize. And so thank you all so much for being here. It really means a lot. At the same time, it is impossible to talk about Haiti without noting the deep solidarity with the Palestinian people. So we are so happy to be working with Samidun Seattle and Palestiniyat in this together. And so another thing to say is that the reason why we're doing this week as well is because this week marks the 20th anniversary of the coup that took place in 2004 in Haiti that took democratically elected President Aristide out of power in order to make way for US puppet governments. And so that's why we're doing doing this teaching this week. And so let's get started. We're going to start with the overviews. And so the first person that's going to speak is going to be Merk. Goes by Merk, but also is called Judith. So Judith Merkinson is a longtime anti-imperialist activist. She's a human rights worker with particular interest in the issue of gender violence. She's a co-chair of the International Committee of the National Lawyers Guild and the co-author of the human rights report called the La Saline Massacre: The Human Rights Crisis in Haiti. And Judith is going to give us an overview of the overlap between Haiti and Palestine. Following Merck is going to be Bisan. And Bisan Barghouti is a Palestinian and an organizer with Samidun Seattle, the Seattle chapter of the Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network. This organization centers the Palestinian prisoner movement and the Palestinian resistance in order to achieve national liberation. Following Bisan will be Robert, who's going to give us an overview of Haiti. And so Robert is a veteran anti-imperialist activist and educator who has worked for decades against US intervention around the world and on campaigns to free political prisoners here in the US. Robert is a co-founder of the Haiti Action Committee and a board member of the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. So Merck, please take us away.
And I can't see Stephanie. Hi, everybody. I'm very glad to be here, and thank you all for inviting us to this presentation. I think for most of us, we would agree that we're living through one of the worst periods of history. We're watching in front of our eyes images of slaughter, starvation, murder, and the like. And we're also watching at the same time the rise, and in some places it's taken hold, of fascism, the likes of which we haven't seen probably for the past 100 years. Fascism is growing, and but at the same time, so is the resistance. What we've seen over the past 6 months is the growth of an amazing international movement led by the Palestinian people of resistance, an international movement that has actually changed the world. A lot of times we look around ourselves and it's very depressing, but we can look at this movement and see hope. For the first time, I think, and as a result of long struggles like the BDS movement, for instance, and the struggles of the Palestinian people, we can see that people are rising up and saying no. It's one of those moments of history where there's a flashpoint, and all of a sudden, all the things that have been gurgling under the surface become apparent. Another examples are the movement around Vietnam, or more recently around Occupy or Black Lives Matter. But what's so interesting about this movement is that it's sustained, it's going on, and it's growing and growing and growing. And make no mistake, the interest of the so-called ruling class, all the things that have happened, the countless hundreds resolutions that have passed, more than 100,000 people that have said no, all of those things, the demonstrations and protests that keep happening, they have had an impact. And it is because of this impact that actually, although the hold of Zionism isn't completely broken, it's been upset. It has been crushed in some way, and it's never going to be allowed to have the complete hold that is in the public again, because internationally people have said no. And this has actually allowed the wonderful government of South Africa, which we know has its own history of settler colonialism and apartheid, to go to the International Court of Justice and sue the Zionist government of Israel for genocide. And the ICJ has said, yes, you have to prevent genocide. You have to do everything you can, even though Israel hasn't paid that much attention. And it's this movement, without this movement, that wouldn't have happened. And it also has allowed Palestinians in the United States to sue Biden under the Genocide Convention, which ironically was introduced by Biden into the US Congress. and to say, you are complicit in the crime of genocide. You know, the Genocide Convention, which was passed in the United States in 1985 under Reagan, makes it US law. And it says that not only can you not commit genocide, but you have to prevent genocide. You have to prevent it wherever it is. And that's part of US law now, even though the Biden administration is not only ignoring it, but abetting it. That is the power of movements. And this international movement is beginning to see that it has to have a world view. And we know that all over the world, not just in Palestine, but all over the world, people are suffering because they're under a world system of capitalism and imperialism, with the United States right now as its main culprit. The United States has weapons and its military in more than half the world. And when we look at that, when we look at our obligation as as citizens of the United States, and when we look at our obligation as anti-racist and anti-imperialist, we have to talk about Haiti. When we think about Palestine, we see it as a beacon. And Haiti has also served. In 1804, Haiti overthrew the French. Haiti was France's most rich colony, and the enslaved people rose up and threw out their colonizers. And when they did that, they provided hope for the rest of the world. And Haiti has always served as a place where people could look to as so powerful that these enslaved people could actually overthrow the great empire of France. And so when they did that, however, they became a thorn in the side of the United States, and the United States has never forgiven them. And they have intervened in the history of Haiti ever since. But even though Haiti is this amazing country close to us in the Caribbean, most of the progressive movement has actually not paid too much attention. In fact, the only things that people say about Haiti usually is, one, it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and two, like, why is it so important? Why does the US care about it? But the US does care, because every time the Haitian people rise up, as they did in 1986, throwing out the hated dictators, and when they democratically elected the government of Jean-Bertrand Aristide, the US intervenes. And now we find ourselves in a situation where the US and the UN, and make no mistake, even if a UN troop goes in, just because these soldiers are wearing blue hats doesn't make them anything but soldiers. And this invasion that Nia talked about is about to happen. And this time, they're not going to do it under the aegis of the UN, even though it actually is under the aegis of the UN, but they're going to bring in troops from Kenya, and now we just heard from Benin, and they want a black face to go into Haiti. But this is a US operation, paid for, sponsors, and carried out by the United States to continue to put in, as Nia said, puppet governments. If we want to build a world that's different, we have to pay attention to Haiti. One of the things that the South Africans talked about in their suit in the International Court of Justice was not just that genocide was just killing people, but that we have to provide a way for people to exist. And under human rights, and as internationalists, we have to provide a world where people not just exist, but people have healthcare, people have education, people have a life. And for us, that's our obligation. And certainly as anti-racist, as people who are particularly cognizant of anti-Blackness, of people who are interested in liberation movements and believe in sovereignty and self-determination, as people that live in the United States, we have to pay attention not just to the legacy of Haiti, but to what is going on right now. We have to build a world of liberation, and Haiti has to be a complete part of that. So I would end by just saying, no invasion of Haiti, free Palestine.
Thank you so much, Merck. I'll pass it over to you, Bisan.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be with you all here. I am just going to talk a little bit very briefly to kind of situate us and ground us in the current political situation in Palestine. So we are in day 149 of an ongoing genocide. And we are also in day 149 of the people's resistance and people's solidarity all over the globe. And since October 7th, we have seen over 30,000 Palestinians be martyred. And we expect this number to continue rising as people continue pulling their loved ones out of the rubble. Last Thursday, we saw one of the most deadliest attacks that we have seen in the last 4.5 months, where Israeli forces opened fire on Palestinians who were literally gathering and waiting for bags of flour to receive as humanitarian aid in the face of this genocide, where 112 Palestinians were killed, point blank range, while waiting for flour. And 760 were injured. Mind you, this is 760 people who are injured, who ostensibly have nowhere to go to be treated, because the hospitals that have been attacked and bombarded and sieged since the beginning of this genocide have completely depleted the abilities and the resources of these hospitals to actually care for their patients. 7 children have already died from starvation and dehydration at Kamal Adwan Hospital in the north, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza. This is an engineered famine. And the actual numbers of fatalities since October 7th, we know, is actually quite higher, because so many people are missing under the rubble of destroyed buildings, and others are succumbing to disease, illness, starvation, and thirst. This, as I said, is an engineered famine that is taking hold in Gaza, with people that are literally resorting to eating wild plants with little nutritional value in animal feed to survive. One really particularly important thing to note here is that since the beginning of October 7th, Israel had held roughly 5,000 prisoners in its Zionist dungeons. This number has now over doubled in 4.5 months. And this is something that really goes to show you that how afraid and how fearful they are of the Palestinian prisoners movement, and how the state goes after those who are actively fighting and actively resisting imperialism and the occupation, because it wants to separate us from those who are dedicated to our struggle. There are more than 400 of these folks that have recently been arrested that are held in administrative detention. 200 of them are under the age of 18. And so I say this to also highlight that imprisonment is a tool of suppression wielded by the Zionist entity to break apart families and social fabric and to collectively punish Palestinians. Collective punishment has been a tool in the Zionist occupation's arsenal since the beginning since before 1948. In the face of this, it's important to say that Palestinian prisoners have always been the compass of our struggle, and they teach us about resistance even as their tools are few, and they lead our people by their example. And what we are witnessing right now is not just a war on Palestinians in Gaza alone. It is a war on all Palestinians, and it has been ongoing for over 75 years. And Gaza itself is a strip of land that has been under siege for over 18 years. And this means that all imports and exports to Gaza are tightly controlled. Nutrition, even their calories are counted for them even before October 7th, right? And they have no right or sovereignty to fish on their own land, to be able to produce their own food, to manufacture their own goods. So again, this is in order to keep these the Palestinian people lacking self-determination. Ultimately, this strikes at the facade of a democracy under capitalism. Ruling elites act in service of its imperial interests and profit, not in the aspirations of the masses, just as Merck said. Imperialism is this facade, right, that creates all of these international rules and regulations and laws, and then uses that as a farce, you know, to kind of actually impose its actual desires, to continue keeping US hegemony, to continue keeping imperialism as our global system. So basically, also one of the responses that we're seeing from the Zionist entity is genocide, because collective punishment and genocide are long used tools of the occupation entity. And this is something that we have long seen for many, many years. I'll bring the example of the Dahi doctrine, a neighborhood in Beirut that was actually, it was hit really hard, and it was carpet bombed in order to collectively punish many of the Palestinian resistance leaders that were living there at the time. And we see reflections of this with the assassination of Saleh al-Aruri, who was also living in the Dahi neighborhood of Beirut in Lebanon, just a few months ago. And this is a part of the ongoing targeted assassinations of our resistance leaders and our prisoners. So just bringing us back to what Merck was saying about imperialism is we pay attention to Palestine and we pay attention to Haiti, because where US imperialism is attempting to intervene to take away the self-determination of the people, to take away our right to our own agrarian revolutions, to our own ability to farm our own land, to fish from our own oceans, you pay attention to this because these are the things that weaken imperialism, and that it targets itself so that it can maintain its own survival. And we are coming into an era where we are seeing the end, hopefully the beginning of the end of US imperialism. And it is important to support all of these people's movements and anti-imperialist movements all over the world that are fighting for their own self-determination and resistance. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bisan, for your powerful words. I'm so honored to have you here. Robert, you want to follow?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. First of all, I wanted to thank the organizers of this event, because bringing together the issues of solidarity with Palestine and Haiti right now is critical. And for those of us in the Haiti Action Committee, we've been in the streets day after day for Palestine. Some of us have been arrested in civil disobedience actions condemning the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And we will continue to be there, condemning the genocide committed by Israel, but a genocide sponsored, armed, and financed by the United States. Palestine is the center of the world anti-imperialist struggle today, and we're honored to share this program with our Palestinian comrades. And Bisan mentioned the role of Palestinian prisoners. I want to just give a little anecdote, which is that in 2010, after the earthquake in Haiti, in which over 300,000 people were killed and 2 million people lost their homes, Palestinian prisoners from Gaza organized fundraising for Haiti, for the victims of the earthquake, in an act of solidarity between Palestine and Haiti. And people in Haiti have never forgotten that. You know, to know that prisoners who had so little and were being tortured and repressed in Israeli prisons were reaching out to Haiti in a moment of total crisis. Like Palestine, Haiti has been in the crosshairs of the world's imperialist powers. The Haitian Revolution, as Merck talked about, ushered in the world's first Black republic at a time when slavery was in full force. The example of Haiti, where enslaved people had broken their chains and won total victory in 1804, was terrifying to slaveholding powers everywhere, which is why the slave-owning powers, including, of course, the US, immediately put an embargo on Haiti, attempting to starve it at its birth. In 1725, French warships with US support encircled Haiti, and this is just about, this was in 1825. This is just about 20 years after the Haitian Revolution had forced the French out of Haiti. French warships encircled Haiti and demanded reparations from Haiti as the price for Haitian independence and the price for Haitians freeing themselves from slavery. It's the only time in world history where the formerly enslaved had to pay reparations to their former slave owners. Over the course of the next 200 years, or actually of 150 years, Haiti would have to pay the equivalent of $21.7 billion. Some now say that the real figure is closer to $50 billion to French and US banks. With the first payment of what Haitians call the independence debt, Haiti had to close its public school system. And so this is why when people talk about Haiti as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, we say that Haiti is actually a country rich in resources, rich in creativity, rich in people power, but one that has been made poor by foreign imperial domination. Those two things are very, very different. By the early 1900s, by which time US banks had taken over the debt, to enforce their control over Haiti, US Marines invaded and occupied the country from 1915 to 1934, killing tens of thousands of Haitians and leaving in place a US trained army to terrorize Haitians and protect a Haitian elite that was all too willing to sell the country to foreigners. And when the brutal dictator, Francois Papadoc Duvalier, rose to power in 1957, it was the US that armed and supported his regime as he initiated a reign of terror against the population and passed the mantle to his son, known as Baby Doc, who was finally overthrown by the Haitian Popular Movement in 1986. This is a history of white supremacy, colonialism, and neocolonialism, but very little of this is known to the public here in the US. Instead, Haitian history has been rewritten using the most commonplace anti-Black narratives. Haiti is a failed state. Haitians cannot run their own affairs. The only way forward for Haiti is foreign intervention. All this when foreign occupation and intervention is the source of Haiti's crisis. The crisis in Haiti today can be traced all the way back to the US orchestrated 2004 coup d'etat, the 20th anniversary of which was commemorated just a few days ago, like Nia said, on February 29th, which overthrew the democratically elected government of Jean-Bertrand Aristide and his Lavalas administration. Lavalas is a Creole word for flash flood, the flood of the people, where it starts as a trickle down the mountains, gathers force as people join it, and eventually is unstoppable. When this movement took power, Haiti built more schools than had been built in the entire history of Haiti. Rich business owners who had never paid any taxes were called out on the radio and forced to pay. The minimum wage was raised. A literacy program brought the biggest increase in literacy in Haiti's history. Rural health clinics were opened in areas that had never seen a doctor. The Aristide administration recognized Cuba despite threats from the US. And then Aristide had the temerity to demand restitution from France for the billions stolen from the country. All of this was intolerable for the foreign powers that have long controlled Haiti. Their answer was a US, French, Canadian organized coup that removed 8,000 elected officials, killed thousands, and ushered in one repressive, illegitimate regime after another, all bolstered by a UN occupation force that brought cholera to the country and left a legacy of rape and other forms of sexual violence. The result has been the decimation of Haitian society. Paramilitary groups are now allied with various sectors of the business elite and government and have committed one massacre after another in opposition neighborhoods. There's been a wave of kidnappings that have affected all sectors of the population. There's a new cholera epidemic that has gone on now for months. Food insecurity impacts over 5 million people in a country of 12 million. When they say food insecurity, it means that people are close to starvation in Haiti as they are in Gaza. In the last year alone, over 5,000 people have been killed by paramilitaries aligned with the dictatorship and various sectors of the ruling elite. 300,000 Haitians have been displaced from their homes, fleeing the violence, and thousands more have fled the country, with many seeking asylum here in the US, and they have been turned back. The Biden administration, so criminal in its relation to Gaza and Palestine, has been criminal in relation to Haiti. 25,000 Haitians have been deported, and the numbers continue to rise. And you remember those images at the border with Border Patrol officers whipping Haitians in scenes reminiscent of slavery. I want to end by just saying that, like in Palestine, Haitian history is a story of resistance. People in Haiti are demanding a new government, an end to foreign occupation, no foreign invasions, as the US is planning to do just the opposite, organizing another invasion, this time, as Merck said, fronted by African and Caribbean powers to put a black face on a white supremacist invasion. I want to end by just saying Haitians have said no to this plan over and over again, as Palestinians are saying no to the genocide in Gaza. And we say, free Palestine, free Haiti. The struggles are connected. The struggles are one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you all, Mark, Bisan, and Robert, for just laying out, a lot of information up front. So we're now going to go into our conversation, our dialogue between Pierre, Bisan, and Pamela. And I'll introduce Pierre and Pamela right now. So Pierre Laboussière is co-founder of the Haiti Action Committee and the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. It was that was established in the Bay Area in 1991 and in 2004, respectively. Working with Haiti's grassroots movement that is engaged, Pierre is working with Haiti's grassroots movement that is engaged in the struggle for justice and democracy. The Haitian Action Committee and the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund provide information regarding conditions on the ground, assist refugees, and support community-based initiatives and institutions working for the liberation and rebuilding of Haiti. Pierre was born in Haiti, moved to New York City in 1970, and later to Oakland, where he lives now. He has been active in various organizations around issues of racial, social, and economic justice. He's been involved in the struggle of Haitian liberation and self-determination, and has participated in community mobilizations against US-imposed Haitian dictators and the deportation of Haitian refugees. Thank you for being with us, Pierre. And joining Pierre will be Bisan, who we heard from before, and joining Bisan will be Pamela. And Pamela is a Lebanese Syrian organizer with Samidoun Seattle as well. Again, Samidoun Seattle is the Seattle chapter of the Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network, which is an organization that centers the Palestinian prisoner movement and the Palestinian resistance in order to achieve national liberation. And so I wanted to just actually do a little bit of framing before we go into the first question, just to get at this picture of, both in our movements, in our realities of the kind of people that are in this call, we are, and the purpose of this teaching is to really build that intrinsic solidarity between Haiti and Palestine. However, the powers that be really benefit from tearing solidarity apart, right? And so Haiti and Palestine actually, even though they're being treated with violence by the same powers, they've actually been treated differently by, for example, Latin American countries and other allies of that choose basically which position to take based on what's convenient, politically convenient, right? And so I know that for me, a motivation to help make this teaching a reality was because of the legacy of Haiti in Latin America, since I was born and raised there. But it caught my attention, when I was talking to Pierre before this, we talked about the first Pan-African conference to end colonialism, which was hosted in 1826, only 24 years after Haiti gained its independence. And in this first Pan-African conference to end colonialism, that's how it was called, this conference was dreamt up by Simón Bolívar, who is the person that gets the acclaim for the liberation of South America. That's another story. And so it was this conference was the beginning of the Organization of American States, which essentially is kind of like the UN for Latin America. And yes, it was dreamt up by Simón Bolívar and the Haitian revolutionaries that helped him financially, materially, to liberate South America. And so, but later on, what happens with this conference is that they actually invite the US to participate in it. And the US asks for Haiti to be uninvited. Just Haiti. And the other countries that had benefited from the inspiration of the Haitian Revolution, that had benefited materially, financially, and when I say materially too, it means Haiti sending, whether it's weapons or troops or aid in any way to help the liberation of these other territories. Many of these countries betrayed Haiti in that moment. They acquiesced to the US, they uninvited Haiti, beginning a terrible legacy of Latin American countries benefiting from Haiti's legacy, but also betraying it. And so after the coup of Aristide in 2004, the US called upon its Latin American allies to help them establish the US puppet governments in Haiti. And they did. And so today, we're seeing in social media, Colombia, Brazil, everybody's down with Palestine. It's been a while, it took them a while, but everybody's down for Palestine, right? However, these are the same countries that helped invade Haiti, gave resources to that invasion in 2004. That is the reason, why Aristide was taken out of power. And so hopefully this conversation can really bring to light more of this dynamic. Why is this the dynamic? What is behind it? And why is solidarity so important, and solidarity at the crux of breaking the empires, right? They don't want us to come together, and so coming together is key. And so again, thank you all so much for being here. I'm really excited for the stories that you're going to tell. I'm so excited to hear from you all. So the first question that we wanted to engage in is just acknowledging that both Haiti and Palestine are connected in this long-standing struggle of self-determination. Can you talk about how the struggle for self-determination has played out in Haiti and Palestine in regards to liberation, to food and food sovereignty and the land? And Bisan, if y'all would like to start, that would be great. And Pierre, you could follow.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you so much for putting this on. And Pierre, thanks for coming as well. I think I want to start in terms of self-determination by talking about the specific makeup of the Zionist entities like apartheid regime in Palestine, and how there's systematically and very strictly a restriction on any type of Palestinian autonomy that might be attempted, whether this is through land, as we've seen with land theft and encroachment, even within the West Bank happening at alarming speeds, by the Zionist entity, as we can see by the targeting of fishermen off the Gaza coast that has been going on even before the blockade began. Currently, right now, even attempts in Gaza of fishermen going back onto the water are being shot at, are being targeted. And so the process of self-determination and sovereignty for Palestinians happens in the context of resisting the very systematic ways which the apartheid entity suppresses any form of it. But I also want to point out that all acts by Palestinians are acts of steadfastness and sumud. They are revolutionary in their own by their own value. For example, ways of resisting in terms of the land, we can look very specifically to the very start of the Palestinian Fellahin Revolution in 1936, the uprising, which was horribly suppressed by the British. But we see that resistance has always begun from the people who tend to the land, and indigeneity to the land happens because people work and labor the land and have a connection to it. Right now, there are attempts in small areas of the Jordan Valley to return to agroecology, which are indigenous like knowledge systems in Palestine, as opposed to the very restrictive methods of generalized farming that happen and are only possible by the importation of pesticides, by the importation of irrigation systems, by the importation of different things that make like mass producing farming possible for Palestinians, and returning to more indigenous systems of a growing effort to use less water, use less pesticides, which are methods which had been in use for centuries, and people are trying to return to them. I also want to point out sovereignty over the land happens through spatial resistance. An example of this in 2013, on the outskirts of an illegal Israeli settlement, the village of Bab al-Shams was erected. It was only for a few days, but it was a collection of 250 activists who set up 25 tents, attempted to coalesce the village into a living, breathing space. And even though they were pushed out 2 days later, there's as we remember, the Great March of Return, which caused horrible casualties, but showed us for like weeks on end that Palestinians, despite everything, despite systemically being mass disabled in these events, they still pushed through and still fought for the place and fought for the very earth they are on. And you know, the repercussions of sovereignty are much more restricted in Gaza, but yeah, there's a consistent thread of resistance through food, through reclaiming what food is really Palestinian and what food, what those markers like can be really exported outside to manufacture consent for Palestinian occupation. But yes, these are the points I guess I'll point out for now.
So should I step in? Okay, I was waiting for the signal there for me to go on. But before I start, let me say a particular hello to my good brother, Robert Roth. And Robert is a very dear friend. He's a brother to me. We've been together in the struggle way before we started working together on Haiti. We did a lot of work on political prisoners, on unions, and various other things in the community, anti-racist work. And that's when I met him in some of those activities, including Merck. But today happens to be his birthday. So we want to celebrate that. We want to celebrate this great brother who's, I don't know where he finds the strength to be in so many places. Goodness. Yes, sir. Yes, I have to say it, Robert. I wanted to say that. So thank you very much, Robert. Thank you for all the work that you do. for your great example and for the support and the solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we all should celebrate him as a true example. And thanks again, Robert. So thank you, and thank you for organizing this and this sharing of all of us to discuss Haiti and Palestine. The people of Haiti are very, very clear that the struggle is one and the same. Way back in the 70s when I was living in New York, hardly any activity of Haiti started without not just a mention of Palestine, but sometimes with presence of Palestinians there. Songs of the movement talked about Palestine. Some of the great heroes of the struggle for liberation in Haiti were actually Palestinian Haitians, like the Ismaili brothers, and they were assassinated in 1983. I think both brothers, one in 82, and the other one was assassinated in 1983 for being Lavalas, members of the movement Lavalas, which Robert explained means the flood for justice. And so this is, and we have strong connections that have been established in some of the movement songs in Haiti. And this is born out from the shared experience of the imperialist aggression against our people, the Palestinian people, also against, and the shared experience of resistance to this imperialist aggression. As you were talking about earlier, Pamela, about the land issue, our people were kidnapped from the African continent, kidnapped to work as beasts of burden in plantation. But it wasn't only for the strength of our, as human beings, to exploit our strength, but also it was to exploit also the technological know-how that our people had in the field of agricultural production. And here I'm thinking of my dear sister Leslie Mullen, who wrote an article about this, about rice production. And so in Haiti, we had been, our labor was not only stolen through slavery, exploited, but also after slavery. When the people's movement, the people successfully freed themselves, and now they came up with a system to make the land available, to break up big plantations and to distribute the land. And today, what's going on in Haiti continues to be this, this blocking of the people's demand for land distribution and for food sovereignty. So our people's know-how and their subjugation after independence through a ruling elite, it was the wealth that people were producing in working the land. That wealth should have been coming to them to be invested in their communities. But Robert talked about the payment of a ransom of a debt to France in recognition. This was enforced by a ruling elite that came to power with the support of the United States and the French to extract untold amount, incredible amounts of taxes from the backs of the peasantry, so that it was a continuation of the slavery system. Whatever they produced was for the most part taken out of their hands and sent to the former colonizers in France. And that continued till the 1950s. The Haitian people never accepted this, and they have been fighting ever since. There were many peasant movements, from the Piquet in the south to the Cacos in the north. And in 1915, when they were close to winning, to overthrowing that system, that odious system, that's when the US sent its Marines to put back in power this little ruling elite. And the struggle in Haiti today continues to be the very same struggle. So to complete the Haitian Revolution, meaning to break up, to have land distribution, to have our people live in dignity, so that the money that they make, the taxes that they are forced to pay, that those monies come back to be invested in their welfare, in their well-being, such as building schools, building hospitals, on clean sources of drinking water, investing in the peasants, in our peasant farmers, so that they can be producing, and what they produce can benefit them. And so this is what the struggle has been about. Robert mentioned President Aristide when he came to office. He came to office with a program that was designed by the people of Haiti through their suggestions, so that the people could benefit from the strength of their labor and what they were paying in taxes and what have you. And so that was too much for US imperialism. They had to overthrow it. And so the struggle today, as we listen to our sisters and brothers on the ground in Haiti speaking, they are very much, that's on their mind. They are in rebellion against this audio system. They call it overturning the cauldron. That means overturning the system, and to have a system in place that will be a system of justice and equality for our sisters and brothers. And the repression that is being unleashed, you hear in the media, gangs in Haiti, don't believe the hype. It's not about gangs. It's not gang warfare. These are death squads. The same way the settlers are organizing or forming gangs in Palestine, in Gaza, and in the West Bank, attacking people. This is a similar situation that is unfolding in Haiti with those groups calling themselves gangs. It's to throw people off. It's to make you think in terms of inner city gangs and what have you, but it's not. These are death squads that are connected with the US imposed occupation government that is ruling Haiti. So that's what's happening. And international solidarity is so important. Your knowledge of what's going on is so important so that you can be informed, and together we can put together strategies to deal with this problem as it affects both Palestine and Haiti and other parts of the world.
Thank you all so much. I'm curious if y'all could go more into the role of the US and US imperialism in both Palestine and Haiti. And I know there are, really important stories to tell about the role of South Africa too. I'm wondering if, y'all can dig in more into the role of the US and then role of the allies of the struggle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about how imperialism plays a role, and I'm not even sure if we phrase it in terms of US imperialism playing a role or being the kind of main driver of all of this systemic oppression. And I think that something that we need to understand is that imperialist systems have been designed and set up in order to allow for imperialist intervention where imperialism deems necessary in order to thwart people's movements, people's resistance, and people's fights for self-determination all over the world. As we know, Haiti and Palestine are no exception to this. And one of the biggest ways that they are doing it inside of Palestine right now is simply funding all of this. It is funding the Zionist state. It is perpetuating the ongoing genocide on Palestinians in Gaza and in other parts of Palestine. And it is literally, when we say, for example, that the US is, let's say, cutting a $14 billion check to the Zionist entity, what this actually means is that $14 billion are being pumped into WTNCs here in the United States, such as Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and all of these weapons corporations to build and design bombs and weapons in order to keep perpetuating the genocide on Palestinians. And essentially, the government is subsidizing these weapons to these companies, and then they make these weapons that are specifically designed to be are destined for Israel. And yes, so sorry, I should have said WTNCs are weapons transnational corporations, and they are sending these weapons. They're taking this money from the American government, and they're sending these weapons over to Israel. So that is one of the largest ways that U.S. imperialism is actually funding this genocide. It also has, the power to wield a lot of trade sanctions or a lot of different regulations that are imposed on the international community. And this is something we've seen happen in multiple arenas, right? And I want to point out here the international solidarity we've seen from the axis of resistance. We've seen international solidarity all over the globe in multiple ways, but I specifically want to point out international solidarity that's coming from Yemen. Which has been undergoing an agrarian revolution for the last 9 years and has been looked at by the world as one of the most impoverished countries in the world, rather than seeing it as actually one of the most successful people's resistance movements in modern history. And we've seen them kind of like so beautifully come into this in solidarity with Palestinians and begin to kind of calculatedly escalate their solidarity and resistance to, the ships that were destined for the Zionist entity. And being able to see this play out on a global stage like this, when we see, in the south of Lebanon, the north of Palestine, we're seeing Hezbollah and Lebanese resistance and solidarity happen. We're seeing in Iraq, resistance factions that are hitting U.S. imperial bases. And why is this axis of resistance so incredibly crucial to kind of fighting against U.S. imperialist tactics? It is because this location is incredibly strategic. The Middle East is a very strategic location for the U.S. to be able to extract resources and extract its own interests from the region, and I'm specifically talking about oil, and, making sure to prevent the people from having their own self-determination. And so this axis of resistance brilliantly comes into play because U.S. bases are also all over the Middle Eastern region, whether these governments or the people actually want them there or not. And what is happening in Iraq right now is the government is actually working with resistance factions in order to try and get the U.S. entirely out of Iraq. And I think that's something we can absolutely expect from the U.S. is huge pushback on this, because lacking actual bases and eyes in the region is something that is not negotiable for them. They need to be able to control the region and ensure that if they needed to kind of crack down on people's resistance movements, that they have that ability and their presence in that location. So I'll stop there and let Pierre talk a little bit about Haiti and U.S. imperialism.
Oh, Pierre, you're muted.
Yes, on the issue of South Africa, I want to say that this touches us very deeply, we in Haiti, because we remember when Haiti was celebrating the bicentennial of its independence. That was in 2004. The US, France, and Canada led on a campaign to prevent other countries, to prevent the Haitians from celebrating it, and also other countries from sending representations to Haiti, delegations, to actually witness this celebration and participate with the Haitian people in this celebration. And so South Africa, I'll have to say, and it shows when the people, back in, we are talking 20 years ago, when the people of South Africa had just been successfully, had overthrown the apartheid regime, they were fresh from this victory, and they connected with the history of Haiti. And so South Africa, the government there under President Thabo Mbeki, participated fully in sending delegations to be supportive of the Haitian struggle in challenging the US, France, and Canada and their racist, imperialist opposition to the celebration. And so, we in Haiti, I particularly, and the movement in Haiti, we were very pleased to see South Africa take this kind of initiative by taking Israel in front of the World Court for, I forgot the exact, which there are so many courts, I forgot exactly which one, but it has taken this initiative to call Israel out for its genocide. against the people of Palestine and Gaza. And the position it has taken has filled us with a lot of pride. But also is very, as Merkel said, leading the way towards demanding justice. We in Haiti feel it touches us too because there are so many agents of the US. I'm talking about Haitians, Haitian military personnel, Haitian police officers who have been trained by the US, by France and Canada, who were in charge during the occupation and have committed atrocities against their people. They benefit from US protection. And so nothing is happening to them. They're not being brought to trial or anything. And once in a while, when there is the Haitian justice system under President Aristide, actually, some of them have been tried and put in jail. They always manage to organize a jailbreak where these people are freed. And even though we have a 20-year United Nations occupation, I cannot recall, not once, when the UN has actually gone after some of those human rights abusers, some of those human rights violators, those mass killers, to really impose any kind of real serious sentencing against them. Somebody might pick, oh, there was this one or that one, but that's an exception. And here I want to call out someone like General Namfi, who had organized a massacre when Father Aristide, the Catholic priest, was saying mass in a church, and they came in and massacred the parishioners. That was on September 11th, 1988. And General Namfi lived all these years in the Dominican Republic, very much protected. Another person is General Raul Cedras, who led the coup in 1991. The US protected him and even rented his home as to provide him a source of income while he's in exile in Panama. And the list goes on and on and on. And many of these people, and I'll stop right there, have been trained by the US at the School of the Americas. They've been trained by the US during the US and UN and Canadian forces during the current occupation of Haiti. And all that they have produced is a legacy, is a history, and we can see today, of brutality, of rape, of extortion, and kidnappings against the people of Haiti. So that's what's going on. I wanted to point that out.
Thank you so much. I remember many years ago when I learned about the organization, about the School of the Americas, and putting the dots together about all the interventions that have happened in Latin America and the role that they played, specifically to train people from those countries to go and murder their own kin. And so, yeah, thank you for uplifting that as a huge role that the US has played over many years in Latin America. So I would love to hear, really, I think this would be a great time to uplift the examples of resistance that we have seen, that we, that are making us feel hopeful for what you said, Bisan, earlier. We might be living through the beginning of the end of the US imperial core as we know it. Let's hope that, that we can live through this in our lifetimes. So tell us, what are the beautiful examples of resistance that we can uplift today?
I would love nothing more than to do exactly that. And if you all will allow me to share a video and just kind of ground us in the will of the people, I would love to do that. So I'm just going to do that right now. Sorry, I think I just have to deal with a technical issue real quick. Okay, here we go. Are y'all able to see? the screen?
Yes.
ربنا يرحمهم. بفتخر بخواتي وامي شهداء ربنا يرحمهم. لكن اقسم بالله العلي العظيم يا نتنياهو خلف هؤلاء الشهداء 3 من الابناء سيفجرون راسك يا ابن الكلب. ربنا يرحمهم شهداءنا. نحن ابطال. نحن غزه. اين انت ودول العربيه؟ حماك الله يا غزة. علمت كل دول العالم الرجولة. هالقد هيك دايرة العالم كله مش قدر لها. عشاننا أبطال. أم شهيدة ربنا يرحمها. خواتي شهداء ربنا يرحمهم. لكن حتنعاد الأيام وحتصور أنت وأنا داس على رقابهم هيك جوا زي ما داسوا في 7 أكتوبر لما حكوا جنود الاحتلال غنايم. ربنا يرحمك يما واحنا ثابتين. لو 100 زي نتنياهو بده يجي. مين هذا بايدن بشخ ونتنياهو بشخ مين؟ مشكلة ببينوش. يا ريت يا جولي يا ريت. انا واعي والله انا فيش فيا حاجة اضحك ها.
الله يرحمهم الله يرحمهم.
فيش فيا حاجة عادي والله العظيم عادي ها.
Yeah. So just wanted to share that. I think it's a really powerful video. And, you know, these are the Palestinian people. These are the people who refuse to leave their land, even in the wake of ongoing genocide, who will die for their land, because these are people who so badly want to live and want to live in peace outside of Zionist and US imperialist aggression and simply have the right to self-determine their own futures and to live and work their own land. So, you know, this boy is a big representation of the power of resistance, because our resistance fighters are are deeply connected to the people, to the popular cradle. And without the people, the resistance would not be able to survive. They are deeply intertwined with one another, and the resistance fighter moves through the people like a fish moves through water. And something that we have seen is, apologies, my screen is freezing and I'm distracted by having to fix it. So yeah, so you know, the resistance is deeply tied to the land. And I'll read off a quote actually from Khalid Barakat, who talks about how the resistance battles, how the resistance engages in battle. The land is fighting this battle together with the resistance. The Palestinian fighters know every street in their refugee camps, every tree and every corner, while these invaders barrel in with their tanks. It is in this context that a handmade Yasin 105 is destroying a $30 million tank as an indigenous guerrilla resistance rejects a colonial invader. And seeing it all play out on the ground right now, you know, one incredible thing that we've seen is that Palestinians are creative. Palestinians are resourceful. They are taking literal undetonated bombs from Boeing and making them into hundreds of missiles and rockets for the resistance. This is an example of how resourceful the resistance is and how much of a will they have to defend their own land and to fight back against US imperialism. And something, you know, to state here is that the resistance is winning. I mean, the US imperial Zionist regime only has one option, which is mass slaughter, collective punishment, conducting a genocide. But they absolutely have no means or no breath for a longer war. And they have no means to fight the battles, the guerrilla battles that the resistance is leading them into right now on the ground. Absolutely, yes, performative airdrops that we are seeing that are gathering the people of Gaza looking for simple humanitarian aid and then slaughtering them. Also, something really important to mention in terms of a powerful example of resistance is that the Palestinian resistance has been insistent upon prisoner exchanges since the beginning of the occupation. And this is actually a crucial element to our resistance as a people, because without it, without understanding the need for captive prisoner exchanges, we would not actually be looking at the current landscape of resistance that we are today. And one of the largest examples of this is in 2011, there was a prisoner exchange deal with the Zionist entity and the Palestinian resistance that resulted in 1,000 prisoners being exchanged for one Israeli soldier by the name of Gilad Shalit, I believe. And one of the prisoners exchanged in this deal was actually Yahya Sinwar, who is the head of Hamas right now. And so I urge everyone to think about what resistance movements would look like if the prisoners were liberated. I imagine a world in which all Palestinian political prisoners are liberated, or all prisoners are liberated, and what resistance movements and people's movements would look like when our people are free and we are no longer separated from those that are dedicated to our liberation. And then I have to say, is something really powerful that we're seeing is the unity of the factions of resistance that are guided and united by the demands to liberate all Palestinian prisoners, to end the siege on Gaza, for a permanent and lasting ceasefire. And they are holding true to the demands because these are the demands of the people. And these are the demands that the resistance is representing. And I really want to also, again, go back to highlighting the international solidarity that we have been seeing, because we as an international community are resisting, and inside the axis of resistance, especially with Yemen and Iraq and Hezbollah and Lebanon, we are seeing a very united and kind of like slowly escalatory strategy, because we are fighting an asymmetrical war. And when you are fighting an asymmetrical war, you have to make determinations on the ground that allow you to earn points, knowing that you will never be able to actually knock out your enemy, because we are fighting the most powerful military in the world, and we are fighting US hegemony. And when we are fighting a war, when we are fighting people's wars, we are pitting societies against societies, meaning all of their different war machines are mobilized, not just weapons being made, but also media and propaganda being manufactured, right, by mainstream medias in society. We are seeing censorship happen. We are seeing repression happen. We are seeing targeted attacks of activists and those standing in solidarity, both inside and out. And this is something we need to keep in our hearts to understand that the people's resistance is happening everywhere. And if you have an anti-imperialist analysis, you would have known from the beginning that, international institutions, even such as the ICJ, are actually not our friends necessarily, right? These are institutions that were created by, run by, and kind of exercised conveniently at the will of US imperialists and its friends. So I could go on and on and on about powerful examples of resistance, but I'd also want to leave some space for Pierre to talk about Haiti.
You're muted again.
Sorry. Yeah, no, what you're saying is very correct. And we have a video also that I want to bring up so that people can see. One of the things that we are fighting is the fact that as Robert and Merck had mentioned, that they have tried to marginalize the people's struggle in Haiti so that it's totally invisible. And they present Haiti as a basket case. Or they say it's too complicated. That's another thing. It's not complicated at all, as many of our Palestinian sisters and brothers are saying. It's a case of imperialist aggression and people's resistance to it. So I wanted to let you see a small segment, an excerpt from a longer video of the whole issue, dealing some images of Haiti, and then I can go on and talk a little bit about it.
The French refused to formally recognize Haiti as an independent nation, and the island's inhabitants lived in constant fear of their former colonizer. In 1825, the French sent 14 warships into the harbor of Port-au-Prince, and under the threat of reoccupation and restitution of slavery, coerced Haitian President Jean-Pierre Boyer to pay France 90 million gold francs in exchange for diplomatic recognition. The debt has been a stranglehold on the Haitian economy ever since. In an attempt to remove this burden, on the bicentennial of Toussaint's death in April of 2003, in a bold and desperate speech, Aristide called upon France to return the money, which his government calculated to equal over $21 billion.
Il nous faut, premièrement, restitution, deuxièmement, réparation. Parce qu'en 1825, sous le gouvernement de Boyer, nous avons dû payer 90 millions de francs or à la France. Aujourd'hui, nous réclamons au moins la valeur capitalisée pour l'année 2003, soit 21 milliards 685 millions 135 571,48 dollars US.
C'est vrai que... For President Aristide, however, historical injustices cannot be so easily forgotten.
I ask respectfully to France, on behalf of the Haitian government and the Haitian people, to be paid, because this money belongs to the people of Haiti.
To press the issue with France, the Aristide government ran commercials like this one on Haitian national television, connecting an historical injustice with Haiti's current economic crisis.
It looks like we might have lost Pierre briefly, but he might come right back. Robert, would you mind checking in with Pierre to see what might have happened? In the meantime, Bisan and Pamela, feel free to share any reactions to that video or make any connections that you wish.
Can I say one thing about the video since Pierre?
Oh, sure.
Okay, in other words, and this connects to what you all were saying about the relationship of the people to the movement, right? This was the demand against France was spread throughout the country, and people in the remotest areas of Haiti knew exactly how much money France had stolen from the Haitian people. And, it became a mass demand. It wasn't just a demand between a government and the courts. It was a demand of the people of Haiti. And it's one of the reasons that France played such a big role in overthrowing the Aristide government. Okay, so we wanted to show you that clip that showed how much organizing went on within Haiti to educate people about that, about the debt and about that demand. Because Haitians had been forced, again, Pierre will talk about his father, having to give money to pay for the debt. In the peasantry, people had to hand in money to pay for the debt. In the cities, the same thing. So it became a powerful demand, and a real exposure of imperialism. That's all I wanted to say. And I'm going to try to find where Pierre went.
Yeah.
Well, here I am.
Oh, you're
I
back.
don't know.
Okay.
I had a problem here with the computer. It just went off.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. So I'm joining in. One of the things I wanted to highlight is that very quickly, and thank you so much, Robert, for jumping in and filling in for me. One of the things I wanted to highlight is that as we are looking at the current situation in Haiti, the US war against Haiti continues to the present. Haiti makes no weapons. Haiti makes no ammunition, makes no guns. The people of Haiti, the young men who they are showing as carrying those big guns, these are young men who have been from families who are so impoverished that they can barely get a decent meal per day. And so they have been recruited, paid for by members of the Haitian elite, and containers full of weapons, according to the UN reports, are leaving Florida to get to Haiti, where they are distributed to these young men who are starving. And they are mobilized to fight, to go and terrorize people in their communities, many of the peasants, forcing them to leave their land. Many of those neighborhoods that are being attacked and the homes that are being burned in Haiti, and that's another area where Haitians feel connected very much to what to our Palestinian sisters and brothers are going through, is that the police will use bulldozers. The police works with a lot of those so-called gang members with those death squads, and will destroy homes in particular neighborhoods. Either they set them on fire or they destroy the homes. And one woman was saying how she witnessed about 10 days ago when there was an attack against her community, where her own house, a four-room house, was totally destroyed by a police armored personnel carrier that was protecting the death squads, and the other one was helping them loot her house, her TV, and all her personal belongings. And she denounced that in a video, and so many other accounts of this. One of the things that's happening that's pushing that is the fact that Haiti, despite all of the talk about Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and all that stuff, Haiti is very rich in mineral resources. So one of the things that they've been doing in many of those neighborhoods, these are neighborhoods that are either neighborhoods and rural areas that are sitting on deposits of copper, gold, silver, uranium, iridium, natural gas, and they are trying to get the people out of these communities. This is according to various reports, including politicians who have been in meetings where this was discussed, and they have put the word out. Because this whole nonsense of gang warfare, nobody believes it on the ground in Haiti, because people know that gang warfare, gangs do not operate that way. These are very systematic military operations aimed at depopulating entire areas of Haiti, particularly areas that have been identified as sitting on deposits of natural resources. And one area in particular, it was recently talked about as having a large deposit of cobalt. And the people were systematically being run out of those areas. But resistance continues. The people are not, many people are fleeing, which accounts for the many Haitian refugees that we are seeing on the border of Mexico, throughout the Caribbean and other places. But also people are fighting back. And the fight back is taking place against those sophisticated weaponry. People use whatever means they have available and using tactics, age-old tactics, in order to fight back. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not so successfully. But the word has to go out. People need to know the information. And that way we can work together in solidarity with our sisters and brothers in Haiti so that they can be successful in resisting this destruction and this attempt to steal their land and drive them out of Haiti. One thing I want to mention, from the Haiti Action Committee, we are calling for a united front against this recent attempt by the US, as Robert mentioned earlier, to open the Kenyan troops, the troops from Kenya and Benin and other CARICOM countries, to put a black face to this modernized version of a colonial army being raised by the US in order to bring reinforcement to this effort to depopulate Haiti and to install and to continue maintaining a regime that is destroying and killing the Haitian people and destroying the Haitian nation. I'll stop right there.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Pierre. We're nearing our ending time, and I know that we had some technical difficulties when you left, Pierre. So maybe I'll allow maybe five for us to go 5 more minutes over. But let's get to wrapping up. So to wrapping up, I wanted to ask folks to share any calls to action, especially in the situation in Haiti. That it's a situation where this invasion hasn't happened yet, and so we're in a position to do to educate ourselves and educate others and take action before it does. We look to Haitian Action Committee and many other Haitians that are active on this issue for guidance. And so please tell us what the next steps are to be in solidarity. And same for you all, Pamela and Bisan. And if you do want to share anything else about that that you didn't get to share in the conversation, please do. Please share. So yeah, with this wrap up, please share anything else you really want to share with everybody. Tell us what the next action steps are to support the struggle in Haiti and Palestine right now. And we'll close out with a poem. Yeah. So whoever would like to go first.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, this has been great. For Palestinian coalition happening taking place in Seattle, for anybody wherever you are, I think one of the most important calls to action we can give you is to stay in the streets, getting organized, from just seeing so much of the repression that has been taking place in Seattle, in the US, in France, Germany, anywhere in the empire. Repression often takes advantage of smaller numbers, takes advantage of people who are less organized, who are not able to secure themselves and secure their work. So if you can join organizations where you are, if you can join groups, independent collectives, autonomous actions, just make sure you are working with people, you're working and studying in tandem. I think there's just a focus on studying, at least for us. We are focusing on the study for liberation of Palestine and our revolutionaries in the occupation jails, in occupied Palestine too, in the diaspora. We have a lot of leaders who are guiding our work and guiding our strategy, strengthening it. One of the upcoming actions, grouping campaigns happening in Seattle is to oppose the Defense Supplier Summit happening between the 12th and the 14th of March. This is a group effort, a group coalition effort against Boeing and a bunch of other defense suppliers coming together to try to provide more weapons more efficiently because they are struggling in their supply chains. So if I'm not sure if we have a link to drop, maybe Bisan, if you can look for an easy link for us to share. If you want to join a committee, get organized with that, that's a great place to start. And to make sure we are always upholding the resistance, we are not falling trap to co-optation by a lot of a lot of places that can water down our messaging and water down our commitment to the resistance and to liberation by any means, whether that's in Palestine, in Haiti, in Congo, and Sudan. Not water down any of our messaging. And if there's anything to add, Bisan, feel free to, feel free to. But thank you so much. And our connection really is one, and our fight really is one. And
Yeah, I have nothing to add. That was great, Pamela. Yeah, just make sure you show up for NOTA DSS. It's going to be a mass mobilization. We're opposing Boeing and other defense suppliers, but there's a full day dedicated to Boeing and its entire defense arsenal. And yeah, stay in the streets, study, get your anti-imperialist analysis in, become a revolutionary. Anyone can become a revolutionary and dedicate themselves to the cause.
Yes, and for us also, we want to urge people to get the information about Haiti. Check out HaitiSolidarity.net for more information. And Robert or Merck, if you want to let people know about the upcoming actions, the upcoming events that we'll have, go ahead, please. Oh, I guess they are not there.
Okay. We're doing an event on April 6th with leaders of Famille Lavalas who will be on Zoom from Haiti. And we'll get the information to all of you through the organizers of this event. And then we are going to be doing both urgent action alerts and preparing to try to stop this invasion that's being planned. And we'll definitely do actions like as soon as we know that the troops are headed to Haiti or on the ground.
And I would say the other thing is that in all the things that we do, have an international analysis, an anti-imperialist analysis, and always talk about Haiti and the Philippines as well when we're talking about imperialism and when we're talking about what's happening in Palestine. And that we have to continue to press, as our sisters have said, for a permanent ceasefire and for an end to the Zionist country. I don't even like calling it. I like, entity of Israel.
Well, thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure. I hope that everyone is really inspired by what you've heard. We hope to organize, in terms of the organizers of this, we hope to organize more. We're not sure exactly what, but keep an eye out. So to wrap up, I'm just going to pass it over to Pamela to hear this beautiful poem and send us out to the rest of our Sundays in that way. Thank you so much.
All right, yes, let's wrap up with some poetry. This is Enemy of the Sun by Samih Al-Qasim. If I may, if you wish, lose my livelihood, I may sell my shirt in bed. I may work as a stonecutter, a street sweeper, a porter. I may clean your stores or rummage your garbage for food. I may lie down hungry, O enemy of the sun, but I shall not compromise, and to the last pulse in my veins I shall resist. You may take the last strip of my land, feed my youth to prison cells. You may plunder my heritage. You may burn my books, my poems, or feed my flesh to the dogs. You may spread a web of horror and terror on the roofs of my village. O enemy of the sun, but I shall not compromise, and to the last pulse in my veins I shall resist. You may put out the light in my eyes. You may deprive me of my mother's kisses. You may curse my father, my people. You may distort my history. You may deprive my children of a smile and of life's necessities. You may fool my friends with a borrowed face. You may build walls of hatred around me. You may glue my eyes to humiliations, O enemy of the sun, but I shall not compromise, and to the last pulse in my veins I shall resist. O enemy of the sun, the decorations are raised at the port. The ejaculations fill the air, a glow in the hearts, and in the horizon, a sail is seen challenging the wind and the depths. It is Ulysses returning home from the sea of loss. It is the return of the son of my exiled ones, and for her sake, and his, I swear I shall not compromise. And to the last pulse in my veins, I shall resist, resist, and resist. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mhm.